we're not killing each other. This is a drill. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my hands up, and all I'm going to do is as he's coming in, I'm going to bat it down. I don't need to bat it very far because we're dealing with this idea of, his range. Yes, he would be trying to punch, in my spine if he's trying to punch me for real. But I'm really just trying to take it. His expected range is fairly close, and I'm trying to take it down off of that. We can then, we're going to get into this a little more later, but the idea is I can alter this with more emphatic punches as I need. But he's going to punch, and I'm going to push right here. Now, pause. I'm going to come in a little close. He's actually, go ahead here. Right, he's in range to hit me. If I wasn't clenched, that would really suck. All right, so now we're right here. Just this little bit does give me range to not get hit. Now I'm going to stop and step back so I don't just stop and get hit. All right, everybody find a partner. Don't think about killing your partner. Think about giving them, we're not trying to be sneaky, we're trying to work together so we can get used to this bat down. All right, for a few minutes, everybody find a partner and work on this particular drill. It's midsection punches, and we're starting with defender hands up, and we're just taking it down a little bit. All right, and the idea is I don't want to invest too much. I want to be able to be mobile. So we're just coming right here, right? And then we'll come back together and talk about some variations on how we can do this particular drill. This is the first of the Mato Chibi drills. Thank you, sir. Everybody find a partner. Hey.
Hey.
So I want to point something out. At a base level, the drill, I'm not usually doing a full sweep. For the drill, I'm really thinking just disrupt the basic motion. And the reason is because then I can vary it up to come further out, right? But if I want to do something where, I'm going to then manipulate the wrist, I might need it in closer. So for drill work, we're really thinking about just disrupt the distance. And then, when we get into how might I do this in a more realistic scenario, I can push it further out, I can come to the outside, I can go other places with it. There's nothing, it's absolutely reasonable to think I should push this further to the outside to make sure it really misses me. But notice if I'm focused too much on that, I kind of lose it. Right? That's why with the drill we're thinking in tight, and then if I want to come further out, I can. If I want to take it other places. So we're going to stay with our same partners we just had. And with your partner this time, think about, so the last one I really want it to be fairly close, just for the drill. This time, think about push it a little further out, but try and do that without sliding off, right? If you really invest too much into this sweep out, you get off balance. You're out of control. We don't want that. So this time we're making a point of, I want it to clear my body, but I also want to do this in a controlled fashion. So no flailing, no hit him as hard as you can, right? I'm not putting everything I have into it. Just right here. All right? Everybody understand?
Sir. Sir.
Partners. Feel free to move so everybody can see better. Don't put you have to hold your. We're going to do our first trap. All right? So we've got several different drills we're going to hit. We're still on the first drill, but we're going to take this drill to something more like, where I'd want to go. So when he gives me this punch, so we're here. From here, this one's going to come over. I'm going to keep pushing until I turn fingers up. Now here's an important detail, right? With this drill, the other one's coming. I know this is coming, even if and that's because it's a drill, but if it weren't a drill, I know the other one's coming because this guy wants to hit me. He wants to hit me. You can see with his eyes like that. Right? So we don't want to think about like, oh, I'm fine, I'm going to eat the punch. That's no good. So that's part of why I said when we're thinking about how does this translate past just muscle memory, we aren't just static. That's the drill. That's not how we're really going to use it. Right, so this comes, I'm going to move here, but here's the trap, right? This one comes on top. I've now got control of this, and I can execute a lock. So everybody's going to do this lock. This is called a straight arm wrist lock. So here, move, part of this sweep. This one has to come in. I'm not really grabbing with my fingers, right? I'm just kind of mashing that wrist down. I haven't come out to his hand yet. As I step to the side, I slide out, point his fingers straight up, and push the hand towards him. Straight arm, wrist lock. So once I'm here, if you then push this hand towards him, the straight arm, you're actually going to hyperextend not just the wrist, but you're going to hyperextend the elbow in the process, and you get his shoulders to drop. But let's take note. It's not right here. Even if I have leverage to get him over, I'm not. And that's why the drill is about the muscle memory. It gets us with this sense. But then we're going to use that to move. All right? By the way, I said we push in. You can push in, you can pull out, same things apply. I find the pushing in version to feel a little more intuitive to begin with. But if I think about knuckles towards him and I'm going to pull this wrist towards my center as I step back, I also get a lot of leverage there. A straight arm wrist lock is the lock, but what's important is how we use the drill to people. All right, so here, notice I'm doing the same motion here. My hips already start to move. This one comes over. And all I'm doing is mashing it to my wrist. That's the trap. We're talking about Hapkido trapping. This is what I mean. Point the fingers up, push in. Questions? Okay, change of partners. Thank you, sir. There you are. Come on, sir. I didn't think of it. You might need. All right, we're going to go on to the next. So we've been working on the first Mako Jigi drill, and we use that movement to think about now how can I change it up into more of a realistic scenario. What I really like that I saw from most people in here is that you right away got the sense of moving to find that lock. Because as I said, if you stand right in front and get by the other hand, that is part of this, all right? But that's a key component. It's going to come up again. So the second Mako Jigi drill is he's giving me a head high, and I'm coming up and giving him a hook block. All right? And then immediately after, I'm going to give him an arcane strike. All right? So this is important, right? I don't want to catch this here. Oh, now I'll block it. That's bad. Yeah, no. So you want to go ahead and start the end. Pure drill work, this is fine. You do want to think about sliding down the arm into that hook block. More realistically though, sometimes, my head's going to come out of the way. I don't do quite a full shift out into a front stance, which is not to say I never would, but my inclination is just like you're slipping the jab. You want your head out of the way. So I do put some movement in this one when it's real, but for the drill, we want to get used to this. Hey! And also, you should key off when you do an arcane strike. Hey! 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 So at a base level, I'm coming inside, right? The muscle memory we're trying to build is this sense of meeting, the attack is coming, meeting it, and then dragging it forward, and then of course you can go into a strike. As we work this, you're going to find everybody usually goes into move your head off the line. That's a good thing. It's not specifically part of the drill, but that's a good thing. So everybody find a new partner and work on hooking block into an arcane strike. So I said, base drill is really just in place here, arcane strike. I also mentioned that my tendency is going to be off the line. I saw a lot of people also kind of identifying with that. And it makes tons of sense. I don't really want to lead the center line. I want to move some. So think about, we're going to change it up just a little bit. What everybody can think about, as you're doing this, shift your hips a little more. When you come for this arcane strike, shift back. Hey! Right? And now when we're here, shift out. Hey! So use your hips, right? We want to be able to use our weapons. We want to be able to use our hands from wherever they are. We also want to be able to use our hips from wherever they are. So get to that position. Feel free to shift your hips a little more. And then as you're pulling in, now again, try not to actually arcane anyone approaching here. We're all friends. But after you've got that hooking block, think about pulling further as your hips shift back. pulling them into that strike. Okay, everybody find a different partner, work on this for a couple of minutes, and then we'll come back and talk about what type of technique we could find from this movement. All right, we're still on this same drill. So he's going to be head high. I'm here, done my arcade. Where do I go after this? I could just go, oh, why did that happen? Right, but then again, as I said, I don't want to just stand here. But the first part, it usually is as I'm moving. So as I go to do that, what I've usually got here, got my arcade. The fact is that I've got this corner. I've got a connection point on this corner. The process of this hooking block is really my trap. We've got a lot of options. I was talking to Mr. Bishop about what comes to mind for him. What are his go-tos? Most of them are going to be things that are familiar to you. If I rock him up this way, I've got my Osotogari. If I want, I can swing this down, hit it out, and I can break his arm right there. There are all these things you can do. We're going to do a particular one. And just like before, I want to move out of this directly in front of him stance. Everybody take note, a lot of you know this already, but wherever your hips are pointed, where you have the best leverage, where you're most powerful. And so, generally speaking, I want to make a point of pointing my hips at him when I want to manipulate his body, and getting out of the place where his hips are pointed at me. Alright, so we're right here, done this. I'm in a good place, except for the fact that I'm still in front of his hips. So as I go to do this next part, I'm going to move to this angle. It's here. Drove over, palm on the shoulder, all the way from my right hand. Alright? I'm at his side now. My hips are pointed at his hips are pointed out there. That's what I want. Grab your own wrist. Now I'm going to roll the shoulder and I'm going to roll the hinge down my own wrist. What I do is I do a paper extension there. Again, don't go fast. Nobody's trying to kill each other. We're all friends. And I'm listening for his tap. When he taps, I stop immediately. Right? And then from here, I can even get a throw. The throw is I push towards the shoulder, hit right here, and he sits down. If he doesn't sit down, I can throw him more dynamically, but that comes for another day. Right now, if you're getting thrown, sit down. So again, punch comes from right here. Hey! Drive towards the side. I don't want to do this right here. It's got to be over here. It also makes it harder for him to hit me. Block, roll the shoulder, roll the one that's holding your own wrist. Go slow. You feel the tap, immediately stop. Push with the palm to the side. Push on the shoulder. Push your foot very close to his. That's your pivot point. And then turn. And person who's getting in front, sit down. Person who's throwing, if your partner is not sitting down, if they're not immediately finding how they can sit down comfortably, don't force it. Rest assured we can. If you're throwing them, you've got leverage to throw them hard. Again, we're collaborators. Give your partner the chance to decide to sit down. If they're not finding it, reset and figure out where that is. Safety first.
One more time, yes, sir.
Alright, so we're right here. Punch comes, I'm up. Hey! Drive towards the side so you're not right in front of his hip. Roll the shoulder and roll the hand that's holding the wrist. Everyone can see. Roll the shoulder, roll the hand that's holding the wrist. Alright? So it's here, and I can get a tap. Push on the shoulder. This foot needs to come to the middle, because that's right foot. And he sits.
You'll notice that sensei-wise, that's who you go as he sits down. It's relatively important if you want to say beyond.
Alright, everybody with a news partner. And again, go slow, don't rush. We're working on joints, we're trying to be really careful, but sometimes you get like a, hey, I just need to kind of rest and shake up. Anyone in here should feel free to step off the mat, relax the joints, take a minute, catch your breath. There's no like obligation to stick through. Now, we're going to go on to the next Hapkido drill. So the last one, when the punch comes, from here, I do my arcade. This time, I'm going to reach across and do my block here, and then back fist him in the face. Alright? So very lightly, I don't need to hit him hard. Right? I am going to keep a fist. In practice, I tend to be more open-handed. I tend to hit him here and then backhand him. That's just kind of force of habit. But for the drill, fist. right? And here. And then he comes to the other side. Hey! 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 Alright, right now, all I'm doing is it's aiming right here, right? He would actually go through my face because it was real. At this point, I've pushed it off the line. And that's all I really need. I don't need to push it all the way there. Really bad things happen if I do that. Right? I don't need that type of distance. And so just think here, and right to the back. Okay? And the other side, here. Everybody find a new partner? We'll work that. Constructed at a base drill level here, right? But what many of you noticed, there is, some of you know the name Hapkido, there is a nerve cluster right here on the thumb side. And the fact is, when I go to do this, and I tend to also kind of move my hips out this direction, right? If you come in and roll, you tend to whack this nerve cluster that's exposed. I'm actually trying to go kind of light because it sucks, right? But roll, then back fist. And just like everything else, we want to look for ways, where's the trap, right? Because I don't want to just sit here. I hit him, and now, yeah, no good. And even out here, where I often come, I don't want to sit here very long. So I hit him here, I might hit him here again, but I'm going to drive to that corner. So again, here, with a kiosk, right? But then from here, I'm going to drive right here, and it gets me out in front of his hips. And then roll it over. So if it's straight, I can pull straight down, a little light. Elbows are fragile, everybody be nice to your partners, right? But I can pull straight down, or I can keep pulling, right, sir? Can come to a chicken wing lock. This is also very effective. How long do I want to stay entangled with him? Depends on how much size and strength I think he has on me, right? If they're a much bigger opponent, I really want to kind of get rid of them. So everything I'm going to be doing is going to be, kind of trying to push them away so I don't get tangled up. If they're more my size, I might be more inclined to kind of manipulate, move around, and put them on the ground that way. Here, hey! And then from here, drive to this corner, and turn your hips to roll that shoulder. Okay. This is the trap, and I've got control of it. Before I'm not actually executing a lock yet, but I've got him tied up, I've got a connection point. I don't want to stay here. We're doing things very static. I don't want to actually stay here. I want to move. Either I want to push straight down so he'll put his face on the mat, or I want to keep turning and get that chicken wing. All right? We're going to stop right here. But come to this position, very lightly, think about pulling on the straight arm. Communicate with your partner. Do not rush. Elbows are fragile. I mean that. I'm going to keep saying it because I can't say it enough. But I've got that leverage point here. And then once I'm here, if I want to get rid of him, you can drive him this way, put him on his face there. I can, I can just shove him in and make him disentangle. Alright? But from our Mako Chigi, it's here, drive to this angle, trap the arm. Alright? New partners. Real quick note, we're actually going to move on to the next one. Before we do, I want to, something that I saw a lot of discussion on that's really good, it was actually going to be kind of the next iteration to point it out, but everybody went there already, and I like that, is when we come to do this, when I come here, and I shoot up to right here, whether or not, wherever you catch it, this trap right here, in order to move somebody bigger than you, you really need to shift your hips. So there's a little bit of, yeah, I can kind of get him. I can find a way to make this work on Mr. Larkin. But the structure I can create that's going to give me the most bang for my buck, the most confidence, is going to be come here and then definitely do this turn. It's just structural, nature of how we move, and some movement. Again, that was going to be my next iteration, but everybody kind of found that along the way, so good job. Next one. We're actually going to the next Mako Chigi. He's giving me the face high. This time, I'm actually going to shift into effectively a front stance. And this is going to come up, and I'm doing a hooking block from the outside. Right? So just like we did it from the inside a minute ago without shifting necessarily, although in practice we all did want to shift. This one we're actually prescribing, go ahead and get used to shift and hook. Once I'm here, I've got hit him, I've got break the arm, and we're actually going to go ahead and do it with a simulated arm break. Simulated, this is very important. So think, I'm in a left foot forward front stance to get my head offline and do my hooking block, and then when I go to break, I'm going to shift my hips back in. And forward kick. Hey! Alright, so now I'm going to right foot forward front stance. When we go to the next one of the drill, he's going to punch with the other hand. I'm already head offline. Now I'm going to shift back. Hey! 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 Just like our inside hooking block, you can think of this starting almost like a rising block. I'm not doing a straight rising block because I want to draw him in more. That's really what I'm working with. It starts like this and then you hook over. And I'm really trying to avoid using my thumb as best as possible. I want to drag down that arm and it'll kind of catch at the wrist. He's aiming right here. Hey! Just like that. Alright, we're going to find a new partner. Please be careful about elbows. Do not make any contact on this elbow break, but you know what? Lots of key-offs would be great. Alright. That was a person who's about to test and, want to risk the injury. We're going to start, so first an observation. Through the punch, right, so we're here. Just don't make me laugh. Once we get here, I'm going to acknowledge something that a lot of you know already. Once we get here, it's really easy to come down, hit him in the face, knee him in the stomach, and go straight into something out of the Hapkido form. Right? We're going to change it up to a slightly different, and there's nothing wrong with that, that's great stuff, right? But I'm actually going to change, our dynamic a little bit. Instead of here, strike, this should be pull and push and pull, break the elbow. Instead of doing that, I'm going to think about this hooking block, pulling them in as this comes underneath and put them down. How much do I have to turn for that? Well, I don't want to be right in front of the hips. So as I come to here, I kind of turn out. It makes room for them. But this is a tricep row. So you want to be just above the elbow. There's a nerve cluster really right above the elbow. I'm aiming for that. If you're a little high, it still hurts. That was a long time before it tapped. Is that giving it? Okay. There's we're aiming for, you want to be elbow or above. It's not on the forearm for this. Here, think about we're continuing this hook as we turn in right down. How much do you need to step around? Depends on the person, depends on the attack. Sometimes you can do it where you're effectively turning in place, sometimes you need a full step. It's going to depend on the situation. It's not one size fits all. None of this is one size fits all. It's all meant to be looked at as muscle memory, and then you can interpret it however you need for whatever situation. All right. So the next drill, again, the hooking block comes in. This is effectively our trap, even though it was our way of not getting hit. Right now, I've kind of got it trapped to me, so when I move, and when this pushes here, she comes with me. Now, once they're down this low, obviously they're still a threat to you. You can just shovel away. You can come out here, do a wrist lock, knee lock, throw them otherwise. You've got, once they're all bent over, you've got like lots of options. This takes care of the initial missile.
What part of your hand are you using next to the tricep focus?
Oh, great question. Because, and I'm going to give you what I don't want you to do first. If you let it come out to your forearm, you have less control. Generally, at that point, when people are trying to do this, they tend to approach, I say they, me. When I've done this and it's come out to my forearm, I'm so busy trying to put pressure, I tend to lurch forward and then I'll even sometimes slip past it. So you want to think, as I do this, it should be the edge of your hand and it can ride up to this little part of your wrist. Right? But if I get to here, it tends to be I'm too invested in not what happens. I think hands do just a little harder. Any other questions? Okay, new partners. Everybody was wondering, I actually really wanted to pick on Mr. Larkin as much as I'm picking on the Champagne. He's just injured, and so I was just trying to tread lightly, but I like picking on people in general, so it's kind of I'm spreading misery around because it's fun. So we're up to Makochiki 4, right? And Makochiki 5, we're changing gears a little bit. This is a flow trail, all right? Just going to give me an overhead strike. I'm going to block it, push it off, push it in, and then I'm giving her an overhead strike. She does the same thing. Now we can just stand right here and do this, or we can circle. And getting in a rhythm is a good thing.
You should be close your eyes.
What's the purpose of this? Well, there's a bunch of these, by the way. There's not just one. There's, you can make them up when you start thinking about it. Getting in a sense of initial contact, off the line, push in. This is actually our trap right here. I could come in and throw her really easily from this point. I could keep sweeping down. There's tons of things. But getting in the habit of finding a rhythm for that is really useful. All right, so that's what we're playing with. We're going to work this particular one here today, but know that it's really easy to change it up to a straight punch or change it up to a wide punch, right? But we're starting with an overhead strike. Meeting it, off the line, push in. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is eye attack. Try and find a rhythm with your partner. Don't go fast. Just get a constant rhythm. So, everybody find a partner and work the close one. And I've sort of mentioned this to some people. What we're trying to build up to here, this generally starts out as a very deliberate, hard striking, and we kind of build up to able to manage this with a lighter touch. And a lot of you guys found that. But part of the thing about setting up a rhythm, part of what we're working towards is how do we recognize a rhythm, and then we make the decision to break it. So that's what we're going to do next. We're partners. Yep. She's the feeder. So we've established I'm going to break the rhythm because she's feeding. All right. Same drill though. So we're here. At some point, I change up. The person who sets the terms gets to win the negotiation. That's true. It's true in business. It's true in martial arts. True in competition. So that's what we're playing with here. The terms of our interaction. Again, we're agreeing that she's the feeder and I'm going to change the rhythm. But when we set this rhythm, those are kind of the terms, and then I'm going to decide to change it. And by the way, with your partner, you're going to change up who's the feeder and who's the receiver, right? We've started with that. But here's the way that I changed the rhythm just now. So she gives me the attack. I went through once. They were exactly the same. When I got here, instead of just pushing in, I pivoted, right? And then from here, I can easily do whatever technique I want. You got a bunch of ways you can do this, but you have to think. And we don't have to do this fast. It's going to be one of these motions. Maybe it's here, right? Maybe it's as I first meet her, I drive in. At some point, though, I'm changing the rhythm. So here's the one I want everybody to work on right now. Here, here, and then right. Instead of pushing this in, I'm going to let this hand come underneath. Swing right there. And then That's actually the way everybody's going to work on that. And there's a reason for that, because we have a technique that comes right afterwards. She gives me the attack, here, here, come around, and then the actual technique is reach underneath, drive up for our vertical wrist crank, Sankyo, UDG guy, or central lock, whatever you want to call it. So think, that's where I normally go. And when this comes over, I'm here, when this passes under, this arm's going to come underneath the elbow, and I'm going to pivot to get her center. Reach underneath, and then drive back up for your Sankyo. Everybody understand?
Yes, sir.
Go slow. This is not something we want to rush through. Right. Change your partners. There's a lot of people, I kind of went straight to, we just find this position, and several of you have not really gotten a chance to work this before. So the idea with Sankyo is, put this up a little bit. I'm turning, this is, kind of a wrist stretch at the beginning, but I'm turning the thumb, this is where our hand wants to go normally. We turn the palm out, and then I'm going to keep turning the thumb outward, right? And so we're rotating this whole, your entire forearm. So the way that I get leverage for this, I want to think about putting my thumb on the back of his hand, over the meaty part over the pinky. Now, the way I instruct my students to remember this is by saying, pretend like you're holding a cheeseburger. So, cheeseburger grip. The reason I started saying this is because I spent years saying people, if you try and grab them like this, and this is the point I'm making, I really don't have leverage to hyperextend it to get into tap. I have to have my thumb in the back. And for years, I would sit there and say to everybody, put your thumb in the back of their hand, put your thumb, and nobody remembered. And then I started saying, just hold out your hand, pretend like you're holding a cheeseburger, and suddenly everybody remembered. So I started saying that all the time. So this grip is going to be right there. Now, what I'm really doing, if I'm out here, I probably have wrist strength enough to make this round tap. But I don't really like those odds, because if I'm then trying to get Mr. Bishop to tap, I probably do not have the wrist strength to make that work if I'm out here doing it in isolation. So what I want to do is hold it close to my body. Elbow pointed up. This is straight up and down, and I want the wrist as straight as possible. I'm going to hold it close to my body. Notice our hips are pointing in about the same direction. It's not precise, but about the same direction. I'm not facing him. And then I'm going to turn towards him and take the wrist with me. It happens very fast. If I go turn towards him and don't take the wrist with me, it looks like this, and nothing happens. If I turn this far and then start cranking, I get there, but I don't have as much leverage because I have less room for my hips to move. So again, we're right here, hold it close to your body, put it on your shoulder. That often really helps. Put it on your shoulder. Start with your hips pointed the same direction. Start with your hips pointed the same direction. I'm looking around at everybody. And then turn your hips towards him. And take the hands with you. Don't leave them where they are. So very quickly, I would like, sir.
One thing to just go again. See my wrist going in between his hands? That's really important. I see a lot of people brace up that wrist when they're trying to do it. It acts like a base bandage. Doesn't work. Right? Gotta have the wrist.
Excellent point. All right, now, everybody, new partner, just for a few minutes, I want everybody to practice. You can start in the position. We just did a transition to get there. I'm not so worried about the entrance, but I want everybody to take a minute and practice how that Sankyo is supposed to work. All right. Thanks, sir. All right, so our next drill. She's going to give me a punch to the face again. I'm right here and going, yeah, I'm in trouble. Pass, pass. And notice I'm turning, it's not quite a full front stance, but I'm turning kind of like a front stance, right? So okay, same side, here. And now from here, if I want to hit them, I'm right there. If I want to go for some kind of, and this is a really good connection point, to drive for whatever technique I'm going to get from here. So if I then want to drive in for a throw of some kind, it's really easy. Now again, I'm right in front of her hip, so I don't want to stay here, right? But driving out here, got all kinds of throws. Okay. So think shift. so that your head's out of the way. Shift to this. It's not, it's not quite full deep front stance, but it's front stance right. We're going to the outside. So pass. And then I'm right here, and then she's going to come to the other side. You have to pull your hand back.
That makes more sense.
So whichever hand, as you're doing this, whichever hand is on you is the one that's going to do the first pass. So pull your hand back. Because it's outside in. Outside in. And I usually, what are you doing with the other hand, right? Put it on here. Put it on here. This chamber, I tend to think of it as it's up in my face, up my face, but also from here, so it's easy to do whatever strike I'm doing. So it's variable. You can make a decision for yourself, but I really, I have a strong preference for it. I hard to do this. But the one that's on them, again, if you want to do it, if you want to come into the technique, obviously I've got that still. I've got drive in. I've got all the things that we've been talking about all day. I've still got all of this available to me because I've got that connection point. The actual movement drill, outside in. We're shifting. All right. Give it a try. New part. Sorry, the one we just did, outside. The last one of the entire Mako Shigi drill set is we're going to do actually the same movement, but I'm going to be on the inside instead of the outside. All right? So when she gives me this punch, I'm right here, I'm going, please don't hit me. It's right here. Same concept, right? I'm really pulling her forward because it's not about deflecting the strike, it's about pulling in here so that I can get whatever else I really wanted to get out of this. Right? So on the other side, please don't hurt me. It's got that same that thing where the one that's on them is going to do the first of the passes, right? Again, and I'm right here. If you want to go from our earlier Makuchiki and come from this position and come here, that seems entirely appropriate. If you want to drive in for a lock, that's entirely appropriate. We're doing this to build muscle memory. That's the purpose of the drills. So in practice, it's going to be more like this, right? I'm not standing there doing nothing. I'm using it to lead around and take that balance, all right? But again, the outside one is going to come first, and then the one that's on them, the end, is going to do the first pass for the next one. All right, everybody find a new partner. All right, so saw a lot of good playing around with this. It's made to be drill work. I had multiple questions about why 2 instead of just a block. And the reason is, and several of you already heard me say this, because we're trying to play with not just blocking, right? Yes, I can do that. And just bat it away. But if I want to draw them in, then I need that hook. It's not about a straight block. It's really about the connection point, the trapping. So this brush block gives me a little more connection point. And this first one gives me a little safety net of, oh, it's not going to hit me in the face. I can still stay close. For the second one to come over and draw them in, and then your elbow can come to their throat. You need whatever you want. The world is your oyster. But that's what we're playing with. Now, the other thing I want to point out, you may have noticed sometimes this is drill work. It's meant to be, we're just going to have punch, 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 and you kind of do it over and over both sides. When I do that, I tend to think about where am I going for our real world application. And where I'm going for that is, if she gives me a punch on one side, and then if the punch on the other side's coming, I'm thinking about, I'm not sitting here waiting for these punches. I'm ready to close in and tie them up. So when the next one comes, I tend to come right here because we're already close, and I'm all ready to come here and choke the life out of them. So think about, how do we take this from the drill work up to something that may be useful, that we can work on that interaction when there's more aggression coming. think about that, yes, I've got this, maybe you can do it a second time, but there's probably a second attack coming. I think that's a really good assumption. She gives me the first attack, right, the second one's probably coming. So if I want to drive here, that's fine. If I want to engage with that second one, and then I come in and go to the other side, that's fine. But thinking about, after we do our first one, using that connection point to pull them into whatever technique we're going to do, and not be directly in front of their hips ideally. Here, as I go to pull in and make that step to the side, something that gets me out of directly in front of them. And with that, we're actually out of time. So everybody, thank you very much. I hope everybody had a great time today. I like what I've seen from everybody and how you've taken this and kind of worked with it and rolled with it and evolved with it. That's what it's all about. I, of course, would be glad to stick around and answer any questions anybody has, but I really would appreciate that. Let's line up.
Go. And now we can go. I'm sure to the middle of the hill. No.
I'm imagining like an alternate version of
There you are.
over glass alcohol. Yeah.
Well, you took half a smash. Beat it into it. Just signed up Evan for the martial arts cheerleading clinic too.
Yay.
Still a little way out, Evan.
Thanks, sir.